What is going on, guys? So it's been a little while. So if you guys remember, not long ago I did a video covering one of her videos. It was about attachment styles and how I was ignorant to attachment styles for a while, and I chose to be for a while. And ever since I've been coaching people longer and longer, I have realized that there is a pretty good amount of information about them and how they are applied to relationships. And I've realized that it's a pretty good way to take it's a pretty good perspective to have, because it can really help you make decisions about what you're doing. So for example, if you're anxiously attached and you exhibit the behaviors of somebody who is, then you can go through a protocol in your head about how to conduct yourself and how to behave when you are doing day-to-day things. So if you're waiting for them to text you and you're getting all worked up about it, right? So detachment is the main theme of my channel, especially the last year and a half. And I've been focusing more on detachment, and I wanted to see what her take on it was. I think she's big on TikTok, if I remember correctly. So we're going to take a look. And if you guys have any questions, post them in the comment section down below. And without further ado, let's go.
If you are somebody who has attachment to people, especially anxious attachment, which I guess this video will be so useful for, detachment is going to be your most powerful tool to use. I think my story, in essence, is before I learnt the art and the power of detachment, I was like a log, a stick in the ocean where I could be thrown from one side to the other.
And right there is my first piece of interjection. And it's just because I've noticed that all of my students sort of do the same thing. And it kind of goes in line with how people who are hurt and people who are anxiously attached can sometimes do the same things. So it doesn't mean that every single time, some people will throw themselves into this category and they're not even that way. They're just acting that way. But the reason why detachment is so powerful, and that's why I said this just a second ago, when you realize that you can go through a protocol in your head before acting, a lot of people just act instead of just taking a second and going, okay, what am I upset about? Why am I mad? And it's just easy to go from 0 to 100. So once you understand that you are in control, that you can install a protocol into your life that can stop you from doing things like that, it will really help you. So let's keep going.
According to how another person felt or what happened. Now, detachment is not, and I'll go into this more later, completely disregarding or ignoring your feelings, but it's often talked about when it comes to ideas in your life that you really wanted to happen, like marriage, having children, things that you cannot control. Essentially, you cannot control what partner you're going to meet, and furthermore, you cannot control what that person does. It's the conscious acknowledgement that you cannot control other people, and you will drive yourself crazy if you try. You cannot do it. So in trying to do it, in trying to check their phone, and trying to look through their messages, in trying to drive yourself crazy in the idea of control, you're actually hurting yourself.
So one of the most common things I've seen doing coaching for people going through breakups is they so badly want to control. They want to control the outcome of what's going to happen. Like, am I going to get them back? They want to control. They want to see, how can I get this person to love me again? How can I get this person to text me, call me, blah, blah, blah. And they don't realize that all they're doing is they're acting. So normally I have my iPad ready to show you, but they have repulsive energy. So every single time that they're doing things that are needy, or they're acting in a way that is just gross. I don't know how else to say it. I should probably think of something better. But they're going to be repulsed by you. You have repulsive energy instead of attractive energy. So now, getting to the point of, if you are in a relationship and you just experienced a breakup, there's been a specific amount of time that person's been thinking about breaking up with you. So if you continue to act congruent with what that person thinks of you, of course they're not going to want to come back to you. So if you are if you were acting insecure in your relationship, or if you're acting in a specific way, you're just out of pocket, too much negativity, right? Why should they come back? Or why should somebody want to be friends with you? Or why should somebody want to be with you? Or why, if you continue to bring negative energy to their life? So when you understand these attachment styles, really what it is it's taking a mirror and it's putting it up right in your face, and you're going, okay, this is my life. This is how I've been acting for this, specific amount of time, maybe my whole life. And usually it develops from some kind of trauma, right? But let's keep going.
You cannot find and you will not find safety in trying to control another human being or an outcome. And that's what you're searching for, right? If you're anxious in life, you're searching for a stability, a groundedness, and you won't find it in them. You're going to find it in you.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to create a space and a temple in your own reality that stands like a standstill kind of threshold, that everything else around you is something nice and a beautiful addition to the cake that is you. And it can knock you, sure. Things can knock the cake. Things can make it wobble, you know what I mean? Things can hurt you. And it doesn't mean you're bionic or robotic. But the texture and the quality of you will not change, because this outside thing is not an ingredient that makes the cake. It's just something outside of it. It's not part of the ingredients. I think the last thing I want to say before we go into how to use it and what it means is a story. And that is, when you hone the art of detachment, you can start to breathe light and gratitude into things that normally we don't feel gratitude for. I now feel so grateful for my ex that cheated on me. It's a distant memory to me because this was over 10 years ago, but it's definitely something I want to share with you because I think it will help you on the process of understanding it. Sometimes when you're a person who either comes from anxious attachment or you're a woman, women often want to make things work and fix things and attach to ideas and concepts, people. We will hone in like a missile into making something work, and sometimes we'll even find a guy, like I suppose I did, who's not exactly that into you, or maybe they are, but not that much where they're going to invest their life in you. And
like a 70%. It seems to be, I help guys post breakup get into new relationships as well. And sometimes they'll go out with girls who are like 70%, right? I notice that there's kind of like this little window. Let's say it's a spectrum like this, right? And somewhere, from 0 to like, say this is the end, right? Just to the end of your screen, right? So around here, right? There's just enough interest that it captures your attention, but you want more of it, and they're only willing to give so much because they're really not that into you. So, and a lot of guys, see, I coach mostly guys, so it's really interesting hearing her perspective from it, but it sucks because a lot of guys are like, I want her to like me more. I want her to want to hang out with me more, et cetera, et cetera. So it's tough.
That into you, or maybe they are, but not that much where they're going to invest their life in you. And we just decide that that's the person for us, like do or die. That's what I'm going to decide. And I think I did that. There was many signs where I shouldn't have been in that relationship. We can go in another video, or I'm starting a podcast, by the way, so we can have our deeper meaningfuls there. Leave me any comments of what you want talked about in the podcast, because it's going to be a little bit more intimate. But all the signs were there. Sometimes when people have huge attachment to things or concepts, what happened to me is he cheated on me. And you know why that's an amazing blessing now that I come from the angle of detachment? Because if I didn't have something smack me in the face, like something that completely broke my boundary for me, that's cheating, I wouldn't have left him. People like us, we just stay and work through things despite it being unpleasant, because we're almost blind to the fact that we are here to live one life and the quality of it needs to be amazing. The man needs to add something to your life. You don't need to struggle like a mule up the hill of life with him on your back doing nothing. Why? Were you born to carry this man on you, or woman, if you're a real man watching this, at the detriment to you? And I sometimes feel now, coming from the concept of detachment, that the world, God, universe was like, yo, smacked me in the face and was like, stop. You are not going to be attached to this person. The only thing that could have made me break out of that habit and, yep, we're going to work on this, we're going to try hard, we're going to do this, we're going to do this thing, lemon water, try it, amazing for you, is this system breaker. And you've almost got to realize that, I say this often to people who talk to me who go through their partner's phone, that wouldn't you rather detach from the concept of them, like you've got to love them, but wouldn't you rather detach from the concept of them being the be-all and end-all of your life? Like without them, you will crumble. You are 100% of a person. You're not 50%, 50%. You're not an apple that comes together. You're two apples that make up a fruit bowl, okay? Wouldn't you rather detach from that? Because you know what? Wouldn't you rather live your life beautifully now, not going through their phone? Why are you going through their phone? I know why people do it. Because they are so terrified. They want to find out. They want to find out now because they are attached to the idea of what this partner brings. And they want to make sure that they've made the right choice. Because that partner's reality and how they see you and what they are doing is so important. And of course, I'm human. I struggle with this too. Not with the phone checking. I cannot even begin to tell you how useless of a practice that is, because if you want to find something, you will. And that means not that everyone cheats and every man cheats. There is no everyone. There is no such thing as everyone. It cannot be in everyone. This is the thing. If you want to find something, you will, means if your mindset is one that is predicated on that person being the be-all and end-all of you, and you finding something they've done wrong, said wrong, breathed wrong. It could have been in the past, babe. You know, it could be in the past. It could be something. You will find it. If you want to demise to your relationship, if you are convinced that that person is somehow wrong to you, you will, number one, find something. And number two, you are orchestrating your relationship in a way that you're cornering that person. You are thinking badly of them. And the way to make a person do good to you is to already speak into them as if they are.
That is extremely profound. So I want to add a little bit more to that. She was talking about how she used to check people's phones, and there's a lot of people who do check a lot of phones, and I coach guys that do that. And we have to go through a mental process of, okay, why are you checking? And she just said it's because you have an idea of this relationship and this person, and you want to make sure that you made the right choice and that you can trust yourself to make the right choice, especially if you've made shitty choices in the past. So when you check somebody's phone, or when you are focused and you're looking for negativity, you will find it. What you fear, you attract, right? So normally I'd have this written down on my iPad, but it's dead. And so when you fear something, I used to have my chart too, right? But when you fear something, you are going to completely attract it to your life. You're going to be so focused on any kind of negative energy that they have going on. Maybe they're texting their friend and they're saying something, completely ridiculous, and you find it and you're like, and you're going to add meaning to that with what you are focused on. And if you had a detached mindset, you're like, you would come from an angle of benefit of the doubt instead of automatically thinking that they're doing something bad to you, or they're going to cheat on you, or they're trying to plot against you, or whatever. And there are people that have had so much trauma that they're waiting for the other shoe to drop, so to speak. So it is amazing what people will do when they have the right or wrong focus, because that is exactly how people get driven out of your life. If you're the kind of person that is checking phones, or you're just going that extra mile to make sure that person doesn't try to hurt you. And you can't really ever prevent it. You have to give yourself 100% and just keep working on yourself, of course. But we'll get to the end of that. We'll get to that at the end.
But that's a whole other video. So, detachment. What is it? Detachment essentially means the ability to separate yourself, your entity, your being, the cake that you are, from a person or a goal. It doesn't mean coldness. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're robotic or some kind of psychopath. It just means you have a deep root and a deep knowledge that you can weather storms, and that you are your own entity and your own being, and you have your own blessings and your own path to walk. And like I said before about the cheating fiasco, you can look back and go, wow, this happened for me to go on to better things. This happened for me because if this didn't happen to me, I would still be trying to make it work. And who wants that?
That's what happened to me. That's exactly what happened to me. I was trying so hard to understand what was going on and why this person was pulling away and why they cheated, et cetera, et cetera. And I had to get smacked a few times. And this is what I mean. So a couple videos ago, I said sometimes coaching men is such a, I don't want to say it's frustrating, but it can be difficult. And it's because guys need to get hit in the face a few times. But when I coach women, and look, this just may be my sample size, but when I coach women, they normally will just go, okay, cool, I'll do that. And they get right to it. But I'm not saying that's everybody. But me personally, I had to get smacked in the face a few times to understand how my behavior is affecting my relationships. And really what it was I was so focused on trying to make it work, just like she said earlier. And I think I don't know if I was purposely ignoring, but I was just like, okay, I'm putting this person on a pedestal before myself, before my own goals. And I would drop my goals and myself and all my friends and everything that I cared about for her. And now when it comes to detachment, right? When it comes to detachment, now I have such a good idea of who I am, my identity, that I'm not willing to give that away to anybody else. I'm not willing to drop things for other people anymore. I'm not willing to, make extreme sacrifices of myself for others anymore. I'm willing to say no. And if it's important, then sure, I'll do it. But that's, to me, what detachment is. It's just like being okay with putting yourself first and the consequences that may come from that. Right? It could be somebody might drop you because they're like, oh, you never hang out with me, or you don't care about me. Okay. Right. That's kind of that's how I think about it. And a lot of people and students of mine have said, okay, but doesn't it mean that I don't care? It's like, no, of course you can care, but it's like she said, cold. There's no coldness. There's no whatever. You can still care, and you can still put care and love and extra time into someone or something that you care about, but it's not putting them before yourself, and it's not like uprooting yourself. You're still you. It's like a tree, right? You're still you. You still provide shade. You still love the person. You will protect them from storms, but you're not going to up and leave and move around to keep doing that for them, right?
I would still be trying to make it work. And who wants that? The reason detachment is important to cultivate is because the more you detach from people or outcomes, the more you hone who you are as a person. The more you get to know yourself, the more you rely on your own personal power, and the more you've got something to come back to. It's like creating a best friend out of yourself. It's like cultivating something that is so strong and powerful, and essentially coming off the back of anxious attachment, it reduces anxiety in a huge way. Because why do we feel anxious? We feel anxious and like we rely on somebody because in our childhood, some needs didn't get met, obviously. Our father was absent. Our mother wasn't available. Somebody said something, some experience at school, whatever it could be. Something occurred where we realized that we've got to grasp for people's attention and people's time and people's opinion of us. And outside of it, we cannot have our own. Detaching from people's ideas of us, that question of, oh, what does he think of me? Does he think I'm cute? Does he like me? Does it matter? Does it matter? It will play out as it plays out. Detachment also allows you as a woman not to chase people. It allows you to lean back in your natural self and understand that the person who you are attractive to will be attracted. It also allows you to not disappear into the ether of nothingness, because often when we are so attached to people and things, we start to emulate what we think they like. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've ever been around a person who tries to say, yeah, oh, what's your favorite color? Red. Me too, my favorite color is red. You stop seeing who they are because they're not a developed human being. And in psychology, one of the first rules of attraction is that person is deeply themselves. In fact, there's a theory, I don't remember the name, but if somebody tells you that they love chocolate cake and it's the favorite thing that they love, you shouldn't rush off and make that chocolate cake. You should say, oh, I like cheesecake. You should say what you like and give them the best cheesecake you ever made. You should not rush off to fit into the paradigms of their reality just because they love chocolate cake and their mum made the best one. You need to say, but I'm here to bring blueberries. I'm here to bring cheesecake. And it's going to be the best damn cheesecake you ever tried. But how can you discover your reality if you're always attached to other people's reality and performing in the circus as the monkey that is their reality? You're going to lose yourself. And then you're going to realize you're replaceable, because most human beings on this earth are attached to people and outcomes. So the way to become irresistible and irreplaceable is to detach, is to say, hey, this is me, this is my world, this is my space, and I'm okay.
You know what happens too when you meet people that are like her, like myself, that are detached? People will think, sometimes the only negativity that will hit you is people will think that you don't care, or you're self-absorbed. And it's like, no, like you have your qualities, you have the things about you that you absolutely know are special or unique or whatever. But just like she said, most people are attached to outcomes. They're attached to other things. They're attached to people. They're focused on the wrong things. They're focused on negativities. They're going from relation to, most people don't have their shit together. So yes, becoming irresistible is really just about cultivating who you are. And it's really difficult for a lot of people to do that because their identity is wrapped up in other people's lives. And I know I just literally said what she just fucking said, but now that I'm thinking about it, it is so true, because we focus on identities a lot in my program. And if you have an identity that is, let's say, a fat person, right? Because right now my biggest focus is hitting the gym every single day, right? I've literally been there, and now my life is becoming centered and focused around hitting the gym, and focused, like my diet, for example, like this is what's in here. You guys saw me drinking this. It's a green smoothie, right? So it's now everything goes around, okay, am I having too many calories now? Because I was overeating like crazy. Right now looking back at it, I'm like, man, there was that was 600 calories. That was 800 calories. That was this. And I'm like, why am I doing that? Like, and eventually your body's just not going to be able to keep up with that anymore. Unless you're exercising like crazy and training like crazy. It could be your metabolism really high, but no, right? So your identity is the game changer here for me, and understanding it. So when you're trying to understand your identity, you're like, okay, what choices am I making every single day? And then when you break everything down and you're like, okay, I'm texting this person, I'm calling this person, I'm doing this for this person, and I'm doing this. It's how much of that are you doing for yourself, and how much of your daily actions and energy are you putting into what you love to do and what you want to get better at, what you want to love, etc. So detaching is really just letting things be. And it's almost too simple to understand, because there's that song, like it'll be just let it be, or some shit like that. But it's true, because when you let things be, that's when they can grow on their own, and you can appreciate it, and they can appreciate you for appreciating them. It sounds so weird, but it's true. So in my students' relationships going forward, I'm like, hey, just let them be who they are, and they're going to love you for it. Especially women, when you give women the opportunity to be who they are, because a lot of guys want to control, right? I've noticed a lot of guys want to control, and they want to, right? There's no point. So, and a woman will be way more attracted to a guy who is cool with being on his own and letting her be on her own, having her own life, having her own friends, that shit. Okay. And, all you have to do is just stay focused on you. And that's the coolest part of it all, is you can stay focused on you. So I got a book called Chasing Excellence. Okay. And then I got a book called Handling Breakups. So it's just called The Masculine Way. I know it's a little bit blurred, but the links will be in the description box down below. You guys can check them out. They're very simple, very short, right? Like, talk about masculinity, and it's cool just to keep your mind focused on the right thing, right? So that's what I want you guys to really take away from my perspective of this video, and just understanding that your identity and your choices and everything that you do every single day is going to make up who you are. And you can change those. You can change those. Books you read can help you change those. Videos you watch can help you change it. What you start consuming, you start becoming. So then you can start producing, and you can start creating, and you can start doing things with your life that you really love to do. And that will help you invite people that are like that. Like, if you want to attract a 9 out of 10 into your life, not just looks, in terms of personality and emotional control and like all the good stuff, you have to be able to attract that person and then keep that person. That means your choices have to align with those things that keep you attractive to that person. So
it will reduce your anxiety significantly. There is even exciting times, and exciting is interesting, because anxious and excitement kind of cross over at times. If you feel the feeling, it's kind of similar. Just one is expansive and positive, and one is negative. There are times when I practice it where I want to know where a certain person is or why they haven't replied, and you can just sit with yourself and you can go, wow, what will truly happen if they don't reply? Like, what will truly happen if they don't like me back? I hope nothing. I hope nothing. The only time where I see that the detachment is not deployable is when it's a loved one and they've gone missing, you know what I mean? Like, they haven't replied to you. I understand, we're all human. It's not a lack of emotion, for sure. Detachment might literally save your life, or it could at least save your sanity, and ironically get you to where you want to go. There are so many ways to take this conversation, and maybe it's going to be over several videos, but essentially, detachment is the law of assumption, it's the law of attraction, it's everything. It is taking care of yourself first and letting others take responsibility of themselves without trying to punish them or trying to control them. So it's taking care of yourself first. I'm just trying to repeat that so you really hear it, without taking responsibility for others so that they can do what they need to do, because you are born as you and you are here as you, and you literally have no control over other people. You have some illusion of control, maybe a delusion of control, because that's what we're bombarded with.
I like that, delusion of control. I like that.
We're told all the time, do this to affect that person, or when you get married or when you get this job, you're going to feel this type of way about yourself. But in reality, it's just a recipe to drive yourself crazy. Detachment can help you control your reality without letting it control you. You can literally decide to control what is in your control and let go of the things that you can't. It is the knowledge of knowing that you are enough in this current existence, and that's something outside of yourself. And predominantly for everybody who's listening, I think it's a person outside of themselves, not necessarily a job or an achievement or a piece of structure or something like that. It's a person outside of yourself, cannot complete you and cannot create a sense of happiness that you feel you are missing in your life. You are not missing that. You have everything inside you that you currently need in order to create your reality, because if you want to be happy, be it. Things outside you need not to be able to control you. It's about the knowledge that it's about the journey, not the destination. That there is no goal or no person or no family or no marriage that you can have that is going to define you truly. And it's hard to believe when you haven't yet got there.
It is. That's the hardest thing to overcome, because it's easy for people that are in those lower vibrations are going to go look at this and watch this video, and there are some of them that are going to say it's easy for you to say. I get this with money a lot, because I do talk a lot about money, and this channel is called Masculine Energy. Improving yourself is the theme, but I get this with money, and I used to think this too, where it was like, okay, if you're poor, and then rich people say money isn't everything. It's like, okay, like I'm in such a place where I don't, this is how I used to think back in the day. You're in such a place where you're like, I can't even pay my bills. So how can you say that? Right. But then when you get there, you're going to realize it's not. Okay. It really isn't. I'm experiencing that now. And you get to a point where you're so, like, say this is your level of, where you can pay all your bills and you're completely happy, you're cool, and you don't need Lamborghinis and stuff like that in your life. You don't have an expensive lifestyle, but then you're making this much money, and it's climbing and getting better and better. And this doesn't change, but this starts to change. Okay. And then you introduce maybe one thing, get a new car, a new house or something like that. So this does go up, but your income keeps going up. So then there's a point where nothing else matters except family and creating, and focusing on your relationships with people and making sure that they're healthy and loved. And that's where like what I really want to say is there's a point where you will get to, I usually say it's about, maybe $10,000 a month, $15,000 a month. You reach that, and that's all the amount of money you would ever need. Right now, I know things are going up everywhere and food's going up and stuff like that, but generally speaking, I just want to put this into a monetary, perspective. But if your life is $15,000 a month, right? If that's how much it costs, and you're making 60, right? And you keep going up every single year, you're making 60, but yours stays at between 15,000, 16,000 or whatever the inflation costs, blah, blah, blah. You're going to realize, oh my God, you don't need more. And when it comes to relationships, it's the same idea. I'm just trying to put different perspectives so you guys can understand. But you reach a point where you're like, okay, there is nothing else that I can do here. And you're really focusing on things that don't matter, shadow work, I guess. And all you really have to care about is just being in the present moment. So in the chart of truth and justice that I normally have on my videos, it's the Hawkins scale of consciousness, right? And there's courage. Okay. So the best way I can put it is, there's another one in the Sedona Method book, but it is apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, and pride, and then courage, acceptance, and peace. So, and they're divided. So AGFLAP, AGFLAP, apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, pride. Those are the negative emotions. Courage, acceptance, and peace. You can put love in there as well, right? Courage is the beginning of the real change. So courage is the point where you're going to make a lot of changes and you're going to start seeing a lot of positives happening in your life. You're going to go, oh, okay, this is better this way. So for example, if you want to check somebody's phone, right? And you're thinking about it and you're going through the process in your head and you're like, I don't need to. I'm not worried. I'm not scared. Because what's going to happen? Right? Yes, you might find out something that you don't like. Okay. But then what? Then what? Right? The relationship might end. Okay. Then what? You're going to be just fine. And it's just understanding that nothing bad is going to happen to you, really. Yes, it will hurt for a little while, but nothing can kill you unless you let it. So let's keep going.
But many times when people reach their destination, I'm sure you've heard celebrities talk about it, or people who are successful, they say, wow, at the end of the day, I wake up with me, the same old me that I always was. And I'm not saying that material things or a relationship or marriage isn't amazing. It is amazing. And a lot of my other videos are about that. But I will say, if you learn detachment, which I will go into in a minute, how to do it, where to do it, how to deploy it, and how to hone it, if you use it, you can ironically attract all the right things in your life, because the desperate energy that you deploy when you do not detach, when you're totally attached to ideas and people, is the thing that often will drive those people and ideas away from you. You see what I mean? Nothing has to be how you imagined it or perfect.
So that's that repulsive versus attractive energy that I was talking about earlier. Attractive energy is, let's just see how it goes. Right?
Also, detachment will give your partner the freedom to come closer to you. If you are not detached from ideas, people, and situations, you are often trying to control them or the result. People feel that. People are energetic beings. They feel that your life and purpose is predicated on their actions and reactions. How can they be free to be themselves? Things you can do in order to practice detachment is meditation, visualization, journaling. You know all of those, I'm sure. If you're watching this video, you've heard about them. Writing out the reality of your life and how you want it to go. Even when people are involved, I'm sure you can involve them. But writing out a reality and visualizations of who you want to be, a self-concept. Getting really obsessed about the idea of where you are going and who it is you are. I guess we've just discussed this, right? So it's about the idea of, who am I cultivating? If I'm a vegetable, how am I growing myself? What vegetable am I? You know what I mean? I don't know why that vegetable metaphor comes to mind, but it's more like, you know how people are proud to grow the biggest cucumber at the fair or whatever? What is it? You are your own self-project. You need to get as obsessed as you feel about other people, about yourself, to hang the concept of self-worth on your own ideas, on your own visualizations of you, and not on them. Because if you're sitting there and focusing constantly about when he's going to propose, he's not got anything to propose to, because you've become a mirror of his expectation. Another one is cognitive reframing, and you've just seen me do an example of it. I could have been like, oh, I've been cheated on, I'm not worth it, I don't like myself, why would someone do that? I don't have those thoughts. At the time, I might have had some kind of thoughts like that, but I don't even remember it, to be honest, because I've cognitively reframed. You need to write down all ideas that you have about yourself, especially when someone's not replying to you or someone's not fitting into your paradigm of reality and you need to detach. You need to write down all the scared thoughts you have, like, it's not fair, or I don't like this, or they're not replying to me because they don't like it. I need to reframe. This is a great opportunity, because if this person ghosts me, I won't have wasted my time on them. This is a great opportunity because now I get to see sooner rather than later, when I'm married with children, that this person isn't for me. Thank you, Lord, universe, whoever you believe in, for showing me earlier. Cognitive reframing, have a look at what it means, is that ability to control the frame in which you put an idea. Every idea can be reframed. Truly, it can. Try it. I think another thing to talk about when it comes to detachment is detaching, not from people, but from your own thoughts as well. I think after I had my child, you often get like intrusive thoughts, like, oh no, what if this happens? What if that happens? You get really intense about like their safety and all those things. And I read in a book once, you know, it's the old adage of be like water, my friend, and Bruce Lee, that when you're feeling your emotions and the ideas that come to you, you're not standing in the river of your emotions being thrown around, but you come out of the river and you look at the water and you observe them, right? So as I started to observe my thoughts of like, oh no, what if something happens? What if this chair falls? What if that thing happens? If any mums are here, I'm sure you'll comment that, you know, you had those thoughts. It's very common. I read in a book where it was discussing the psychology of postpartum. A person was talking about how, you know, they were always scared when they were carrying the child down the steps, so they would drop them. And the only thing that helped their mind shift is when they stood on the stairs in almost like a meditation and were like, okay, so what if that happens? Take me there, brain. Let's do this. Like, you're fearing, brain, because you want to protect me. But I'm here and I'm willing to observe you and meditate through this. I'm willing to weather this storm. And I think mine only subsided when I stepped into that, observed my emotions, and at the end I was able to say, oh, I'm only thinking these things because I love my child so much. This is my brain protecting me of any dangers. And instead of being like, oh, why am I thinking this? I started to think, oh, thank you, brain, for trying to, make sure that I'm safe and that he is safe. And in terms of your attachment to people, step away, use this as an opportunity to get to know yourself. What am I afraid of? That that person doesn't like me anymore?
That is something that most people don't do right there. What are you afraid of, really? And this is, again, so I teach, about relationships and breakups and whatever, but when we focus on money, this is something that a lot of my students come to me for. And if I never talked about it, they wouldn't come to me for it. And so I see some of the comments randomly here and there. They'll be like, stop talking about money. I get it. But when we talk about it, they're going to go through the program and they get this fearful energy coming. And I'm like, what are you afraid of? Do you understand like what you're learning here? Right? You're going to be like, what are you afraid of? They're afraid of failing. They're afraid of not being enough. They're afraid of that they're not going to put the work in, whatever the case is. And I said, why are you afraid of that? What's the matter? And I'll get them to work through it and speak about it. And usually, a lot of what they say is, I don't know. I don't know. Right. And that's usually what anxious energy looks like. And I'll say, okay, so if you just had, and that's why we have a simple protocol of, if you just do this every single day, you're going to make progress. Okay. Going to the gym and getting in shape, go every single day and make progress. If you want to make YouTube work, do it every day and make progress. You're going to get subscribers and you get people that like you and love you, know you, like you, and trust you. Whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You just got to do it consistently enough. And then you're going to start bringing in other ways of thinking into your life. So right now I took a really expensive program to help, not with YouTube, but with like my other businesses growing and to grow them. And 3 years ago, 2 years ago, I would have been so afraid to take something like that. But because I believe in myself so much now, I'm willing to spend ridiculous amounts of money on courses and self-improvement and learning that I'm no longer afraid of those things. Again, like I said earlier, it's about courage. So really, it's just, we can talk about money or relationships or health, whatever it is. Those are the 3 big pillars, by the way. Courage and courageous energy is always going to take you to that next step. And then there's acceptance, right? Neutrality, acceptance, and et cetera, et cetera. And there's more. Just go Google the Hawkins scale of consciousness. But anyway, let's finish this video.
Okay, are we going to end up alone? Okay, and where would that leave us? Where would we go? Like, try and face your reality and yourself and understand you've always got you. When it comes to detachment and work, I think my workflow increased and completely stepped up into another notch when I detached from the outcome. I spent a very long time in my youth doing careers that I plotted and pathed and kind of pushed because I was very attached to the outcome as opposed to really observing myself. I enjoy talking about who I really am and what people resonate with. I think also detachment can work in terms of not even when it comes to people or relationship, but in terms of sometimes you might have ideas of yourself or what it is you think you need to be. You might be thinking, oh, I need to go to a certain college or a certain university in order to achieve A, B, C, D, F, G, and you're so focused on a goal and an outcome that you forget to observe yourself.
Exactly. Parents do that to you. I want to interject here just because I have so many students in the past that are like, my parents wanted me to go to this school. They wanted me to do this and do this and do this. You don't even have your own identity because you've never taken the time to look and be like, is this what I even really want? And this is how so there are different, age groups that people come to me. Sometimes they're really young, but sometimes I'll get people that come to me at 34, 35 years old. And they're like, I went to school and I did this thing because my parents said it would be cool and it makes me a lot of money, but I fucking hate it. Right. And they're like, I want to do something new. And that's why me talking about money, brings them into the program. So I'm like, okay, like I'll get to know them and what they do, what they like and focus on what they do. And I'm like, oh, you never really took the time to really ask yourself and stand up to your parents, because a lot of people are afraid to deal with the shame that comes with that. Right. And that's a heavy thing to deal with, because shame is probably I think it is the lowest energetic movement that you can experience, an energetic emotion. It hurts and it makes you feel dead. Right. When your parents say they're disappointed in you, right? Shame. So it's amazing what people will do because their parents will push them in certain directions. And that's something that I don't want to do to my child. So, obviously I'm going to observe them and teach them how to make money and do things if they want to, but they don't need to. They can choose to do whatever they want to do. It's their life. It's their choices. Yes, I'm going to have to guide them, right? Guide them in the right direction. I'm not going to be an absent father and teach. I want to be very involved, but I don't want them to, I don't saying, oh, you need to go to Harvard or you need to be a doctor. It's like, what happened to choice, right? So.
And detachment can help in that as well, where you just step away and go, there are so many paths in life. As Steve Jobs said, sometimes all these connecting dots of random things you do end up putting you in the place where you want to go. Detachment really works when you're practicing the journey, like you're enjoying the journey and you're learning self-growth and you're really living in the moment and you're enjoying who you are in that moment. It's that like whole practice of, when I said about like worrying that somebody's going to leave you or all that stuff, why worry? Why not be with them and enjoy the process right now and try not to see the outcome, because essentially you will see it. Like the world always reveals itself. Lies don't often stay as lies, and you will instinctively know and you will see them, but you will be prepared for anything that happens, because let's say even something does go wrong. You would have had a really great time in the time that it didn't. Why prepare for things that might not even happen? I think the biggest thing to take away is if you really do start to practice it a little bit more and say that I'm an entity in myself, I've got this, learn about yourself, get obsessed with your journey, really be on it, you will see that you start to magnetize people and opportunities to you. Desperate energy is really difficult to deal with for people, for the universe, for everything. So it's hard for things to come to you when you operate from a level of desperation. So when you start to deploy and practice this detachment, not in a cold, not in a cynical, not in a horrible way, you're still a human being, you're still going to feel, you're still going to be everything that you want to be, but you're going to know you got this. And slowly over time, the way you're going to see it's working is when someone's going to say something you don't necessarily like, you're not going to be reactive. You're going to be slower to react to things, and you're going to act and not react, because you would have detached from outcomes and you would be acting on the things you want to do, as opposed to reacting. He said this, he said that, I'm going to lose this person, I'm going to blah, 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 blah. It's just too much. And the reality is, in this world, things are not certain. And if you allow yourself to be thrown around by the world and not have an inner center, you're going to spend most of your life trying to get back up on your feet, as opposed to moving towards where you want to go. I'm going to add some books about detachment into my Amazon list. I'll leave that below. I think a lot of things I talk about, like the 20 feminine energy principles, which is my course, you can get it in my website as well, is part of that. I grew up very pushing, very dependent on other people's opinion, very masculine, and I think a part of my journey of self-discovery is feminine energy and detachment and flow. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I hope it helped you. I'll see you on the next one. Love you lots.
Cool. So I really like that video. I think it's completely aligned with what I talk about on my channel. And a really good book to help you with that is Sedona Method, 100%. It's on my bookshelf back, not behind me, but it's like back there. No, back here. But anyway, you guys should pick that book up. It will be in the description box down below, and of course, pick mine up. But guys, honestly, detachment is the way. Stoicism will help you get there too if you want to read the Stoic books. But honestly, just focus on being present and just enjoying your day-to-day life. And I know it sounds extremely simple, but minute to minute, day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day, just enjoy yourself. Seriously, it's that simple. And if you guys want to learn how to get rid of any of those problems, you can join the program. It's called the Better Man Project. It's in the description box down below. You can join my free Discord. When you join the free Discord, you can ask me more about it in my DMs. Okay. So without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next video. Click on whatever's next. Done.